So Ron, what did you hope to achieve when you set up Mikeysline?
I'd known people throughout my life who had taken their own lives, but it hadn't directly affected me at all. They were 2 or 3 stages away from my own personal space, and it wasn't until Michael took his own life and we went into the reasons behind it, or as many reasons as we could find, that the one word that leapt out in me was loneliness, and how the person who takes their own life must feel in those last days. Whether that's someone who's been contemplating it, or whether it's someone who does spontaneous suicide, that one feeling of loneliness is the one thing that struck me.
And what are you most proud of that Mikeysline has gone on to achieve?
People are talking to other people about their own mental health and asking questions about their friends' mental health, whereas it was not necessarily a taboo subject before Mikeysline started, but it certainly wasn't a discussed subject.
And what would you like to see Mikeysline go on to do in the future?
I think it's absolutely necessary that we start from primary schools, going through the schools, to give young people armour to deal with. Shit happens every day to everybody. We can't be taking it personally. We have to realise, and we have to teach our children, that you can live with it, you can overcome it, you can go around it. You don't have to come to a full stop just because things are bad today, or bad tomorrow, or bad at home. You can work with any feeling that you get, and you can find a way to get around it without cutting yourself, without locking yourself away, and certainly without taking your own life.
And is there anything you'd like to say to other family members that have lost people to suicide?
I know what you've been through, I know what you're going through. I know that suicide is different. Suicide of a family member is different to any other death in the family, even infant death, because you go through various stages of angry with the person who took their own life. How could they do this to me? Angry with yourself for not noticing. Angry with other people for maybe causing the bullying that led to this. Angry with their peers. You get angry with everybody until you realise that there is no one to blame except the world, because we've allowed this to happen. But never ever blame yourself, and only think happy times. Try not to dwell on the loneliness I talked about.
Yeah. And finally, what do you think the biggest lesson setting up Mikeysline has taught you?
That people do care. They may give off a semblance of not caring. They may give off a semblance of collective irresponsibility. But when it comes down to it, there's a huge amount of poverty and unemployment and all that in the islands, huge amount of loneliness. But kids were still sticking £1 of their pocket money into a Mikeysline jar. Parents who had no money were still sticking £1 in the jar. People genuinely care, and people are knocking on their neighbours' doors now and saying, "Are you okay?